We have been addressing the ETF flood hitting this space for a bit of time now, and up until recently, a lot of it was just hype and speculation. But now, we have the biggest move happening around ETFs ever for crypto. And this is going to be very important, especially if you hold XRP, because altcoins like XRP have the most amount of, filings behind them. We have been patiently waiting for a lot of those ETF filings to get approved for XRP because that's going to lead to a massive flood hitting XRP. Because again, majority of them are spot-based ETFs, which do impact the spot value and volume around these altcoins. Now, with that being said, let's look at this post here from Nate Geralshi. We have spot crypto ETFs continue to lead all ETF categories in inflows since April 8th, the S&P 500 low. Nearly $34 billion. And there's a wave of new crypto ETFs set to hit the market next month. Look at this list. Spot crypto has over $33.5 billion tied to it. That is almost $10 billion more than thematic funds, which is diversifying equity beyond the Mag 7. $10 billion more almost. This is showing us how big the appetite is for crypto right now in and around the US. Now, on top of this, we just got the biggest update from the SEC, which did happen on the 17th, which was the SEC approving generic listing standards for commodity-based trust shares. This gave the market a framework to follow when it comes to ETF filings. And this will also accelerate the approval process around those filings. Now, we already have from Yahoo Finance, we have crypto ETFs set to flood the US market as the SEC streamlines approvals. This is from Reuters. And I mean, listen, it's 100% true. We are starting to see an inflow of ETFs. There are 21 ETFs that own either Bitcoin or Ethereum or a combination of both. But think about all of the other ETF applications that are waiting right now around altcoins. I think that there's like over 40 plus of them just waiting in line, waiting for something to happen. Now, we did get an update from Bitwise because this was on September 15th that this article got written by Matt Hugan. We have over here. So this just happened. The SEC approved generic listing standards this afternoon. And I want to read this real quick, and then I will look at this because I want to give you guys a perspective of just what's happening here. So we have here, get ready for crypto's ETF Palooza. The SEC just created generic listing standards for crypto ETPs. What will it mean for markets? Usually in these CIO memos, I try to give a view on what's happening in the market. For instance, last week I wrote about why it's Solana season and predicted a strong end of the year push for Ethereum's top competitor. Solana has rallied 7.72% since then, which is nice. But watching the crypto market right now is like watching the Super Bowl pregame show. Things are set up for a spectacular end of the year rally with rate cuts, surging ETP inflows, rising concerns about the dollar, and incredible momentum in tokenization and stablecoins. Yet as investors, we've largely been stuck waiting. Why? For one, August and September are historically the two worst months of the year for crypto. But the larger reason is that big developments like the recent Bitcoin ETP approvals at major wirehouses or progress on new legislation in Congress often take time to bear fruit. So as we wait, I thought I'd give you a peek into what's happening at the SEC regarding crypto ETP approvals. As I see it, the SEC is getting ready to blow the market wide open. Here we have the post from Matt Hugan. This goes back to the 15th. What impact will generic listing standards have on the crypto ETP space? Here's what happened when the SEC passed the ETF rule in late 2019, which created generic listing standards for traditional ETFs. The pace of ETF launches rose from 117 per year to 370 per year. Expect the same kind of expansion if generic listing standards come to crypto this fall. And here we have the ETF rule. This was the average And look at that massive spike to the upside. We just got this approval. And we have over here from Eric Bokunis, the generic listing standards for crypto ETFs is going to unleash a tsunami of products and more competition from exchanges to list those ETFs. The CBOE Kerr has most crypto ETFs with 41, followed by NYSE. NASDAQ trails, but it has the one IBIT, which is arguably the number one IPO of 2024. So yeah, listen, when we think about this, it is going to unleash a tsunami. The SEC is about to blow the lid off of crypto, and we are about to witness some of the largest moves happen around this space. I don't think people realize how big of a game changer this really is. Now, on top of this, we have over here, this happened on the 17th, the same day that framework passed from the SEC. The SEC approved the listing and trading of Grayscale's digital large cap fund covering Bitcoin, Ethereum, XRP, Solana, and ADA. Now, we also got another listing, right? Or at least it was a filing of a very similar fund. And that also just got approved. Here we go. Hashdex NASDAQ Crypto Index US ETF approved under the SEC's new generic listing standards. Will now be able to own crypto assets beyond Bitcoin and Ethereum. Looks like XRP, Solana, and XLM. And yes, these are the ones that will be included in this. And again, this is proof that this is already happening. Like if we're thinking about what's happening here, you know, by the title of this video, maybe you guys probably thought, oh yeah, this is just clickbait, whatever. No, this is proof that the SEC is seriously about to blow the lid off of crypto. Here we have the Hashdex press release. Thanks to recent regulatory updates and the approval of generic listing standards, the NCIQ is expanding today and will adapt over time as new assets meet the indexes and listing requirements. So again, this was all because of what we just witnessed from the SEC. Now, on top of this, we're starting to see even more filings around ETFs. Like, for an example, the BlackRock registered the name iShares Bitcoin Premium ETF, filing coming soon. This is a covered call Bitcoin strategy in order to give Bitcoin some yield. This will be a 33x spot product sequel to the $87 billion IBIT. Again, we are watching as more and more filings hit this space. We are witnessing the flood. Now, we also got a big update from BlackRock, actually. This is with Robbie Mitchnick. This was from Nate Gerolshi on his YouTube channel. If you guys do want to go check it out, this is the Crypto Prem Pod. We discuss massive success of IBIT and ETH-A, Bitcoin and Ethereum in broader portfolios, staking in spot ETH ETFs, generic listing standards, crypto ETF development, tokenization, and also stablecoins. Check it out, guys.
In terms of product development, let me ask you this, and you don't have to comment on the first part. And actually, I don't expect you to comment on the first part.
Probably won't then if you're prefacing it like that.
All right, so I have actually publicly predicted that BlackRock would file for a spot XRP ETF and a spot Solana ETF, which you have not yet done. And again, I'm not expecting you to comment on that at all. But what I will ask you is, how is BlackRock thinking about future product development around crypto-related ETFs? Because you have had these two massive success stories with IBIT and ETH. So certainly that has to have your attention. But what about moving forward?
Yeah, well, there's a lot of factors that go into that decision-making process, obviously. But the biggest driver ultimately is our clients, right? What is the level of investor demand? What is the logic and investment thesis for investors and for our clients around these potential products? What problem are we solving for them? And so when we think about other potential opportunities in this space, obviously we're looking at things like market cap, liquidity, maturity, but also clarity of investment thesis and overall sort of product and portfolio considerations in terms of how clients long-term are going to be able to use products in this space, build the types of portfolio exposures holistically that they want. And so that's a constant evaluation process. It's not a fixed point in time thing, but ultimately that's the kind of process that we deploy.
And that process that he just mentioned, almost everything that he mentioned there, XRP checks the boxes. When we think about everything happening in the space currently, because we have a lot more filings. We just got another one on the 24th. This is Amplify XRP ETF filed. They will just keep coming because they will, right? I do agree with Chad Steingraber here because we're starting to witness a flood around XRP. I mean, listen, it makes a lot of sense to have an ETF for XRP. Even if I was BlackRock, right? And I've said this many times over this year. If you guys watch the videos, you know, if I am BlackRock and I'm thinking about this from a market perspective of how much money can we possibly make? We made a ton of money off of the Bitcoin ETF. We made a ton of money off of the Ethereum ETF. You know, what's next up? Where's all the demand? What's the biggest crypto so far over the last like 12 months outside of Bitcoin and Ethereum that's in the top 10? It's XRP. XRP has outperformed both Bitcoin and Ethereum in the last 12 months. XRP has been on fire in the last 12 months. And if we're thinking about this, I'm looking at it from a business perspective. That's where the demand is. I'm sure that there's a lot of clients that want to invest into XRP. So it makes a lot of sense to have an XRP ETF. Now, we do also have a ton, and I mean a ton, of decisions upcoming in October. CryptoZara has posted XRP ETFs momentum is coming fast. 5 rollings in 7 days from October 18th all the way through the 24th. Grayscale, 21 shares. Bitwise, CoinShares, Canary Capital, Wisdom Tree. That's a full gauntlet of spot XRP ETF decisions in one single week. The clearest timeline we've had yet. If approvals land, the flow dynamic shifts from retail heavy to institutional. If not, the US regulatory stalemate extends. Either way, the direction of XRP investment for years will likely be determined in late October. And again, if we're looking at this logically, what are we witnessing now around the ETF space? Well, we are watching as more and more ETF filings hit the space. We just got another one about Dogecoin, right? This was on the 22nd. This is another ETF application for Dogecoin. On top of that, we're now witnessing even more players like BlackRock registering new names and also wanting to file even more ETF applications around crypto. It's also at the same exact time that we're now witnessing the SEC finally approve a few, right? Like, for an example, the Grayscale Digital Large Cap Fund, as well as the Hashdex NASDAQ Crypto Index Fund. I mean, we are on a roll now with the SEC ever since this big update. And I feel as if almost every single one of these applications for an XRP ETF follow that framework. Because again, the main thing that they're looking at is if the underlying asset has some sort of derivative product from Coinbase. XRP does. So when we are looking at this and we're looking at the listing standard, the framework that needs to be followed here, every single one of these applications essentially follows it. So in October, if we get the approval of these 5 rollings in a single week, this is going to be a huge catalyst. And I don't think people realize how big of a catalyst this is going to be. But we are now finally witnessing the ETF flood happen. This was the biggest moment. The SEC approving this, that's the moment. And we could already see this working in real time. But just like Eric Balkunas is saying, and also Matt, Hugan from Bitwise, yeah, we are about to witness the SEC blow the lid wide open for crypto. I really do think that this is going to lead to some crazy moves happening around crypto, because we already are witnessing crypto ETFs outpacing every other ETF class. I mean, this is going to lead to a ton of demand, a lot of hype around crypto as well. I mean, this is just a crazy cycle for crypto. And I don't think, I really do think that this is just going to continue in terms of like ETF inflows, regardless of what type of, cycle we're in, bear or bull. Doesn't really matter. The main thing that I'm looking at here is how legitimized crypto is becoming, how mature this space is currently. And It's just an incredible sight to see. So with that being said, I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys did, definitely leave a like, subscribe, turn notifications on if there's more free content. You guys are more than welcome to follow me on Twitter and join the free Discord on the description below. And with that being said, guys, Nick, thanks for watching. Peace out.